Good evening. Hope everyone is doing well. Right. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Before I get started, does anyone have any questions regarding assignments or anything? Now, a couple of you have not posted your assignments yet, and I've been saying I will accept late assignments. You just will not get full credit. I strongly, highly urge you to go ahead and submit those past due assignments because at this point, if you have not, especially um, the ones that were more points, the discussion questions, you probably won't pass the class. So you don't get credit for attendance. We get credit for assignments that's being done. So you need to go back and do the assignments. If you're doing the quizzes, you need to make sure if you do the quizzes from the pathways, um, you need to make sure you do all of the quizzes for the subjects: education, science, public safety, and technology. So, because they're worth there's three points per pathway. So go back and do those. It's closed, but you still can watch the video, answer the question, and email me your answers. Make sure your phone is on mute. Anthony, please mute your phone. So
There.
Anthony,
Oh, yeah.
so um, so that being said, so showing up will not give you points. You have to do the assignments to get points to be able to pass the class, right? So I'm going like I'm going to get. You have to submit late assignments. You have to email them to me directly. So go under modules and then instructor information that has my email address and email me the assignments because, like I said, they close out after the due date. So you have to email them, copy and paste, or attach it, like say like the scavenger hunt is an attachment, and then email it to me. All right. So let's get started here. So Monday we talked about time management and priorities, and today we would be discussing understanding financial literacy. This is going to be kind of quick, um, but it's important, still important, because you need to be able to understand finances and be able to manage your finances. Um, it's a little different because you're not like on at a four-year school on campus, like in housing where you're actually really kind of on your own. So some of you may still be at home with your parents, but if you're working, you still have to manage your finances. And then if your plan is to transfer to a four-year school and then move on campus, same thing. You're at that point, you're really going to need to be aware of your finances. So this was the discussion question recap. Um, and so you all had some really good responses um, to that discussion question. I would like to have some friends like you all. You all are very supportive and motivating and providing some good feedback in this scenario. A lot of the responses here was keep an open mind, inspire, and use the experience to inspire others. Because I think one of the classes stated that they're going into teaching to be going into education to be a teacher, and they want to be able to inspire others as well as their students, which is a great example. And that's my goal too. I'm first generation college student in my family, so my goal is to help others to kind of one not make the same mistakes that I made, and two get the best out of their experience. I tell same thing with my son. I just provide same information and suggestions onto him, And I do the same thing to you guys. Um, some of the other things, responses were to stay in contact with relationships. And that's true. At the community college, you may establish some great contacts and relationships with people. That doesn't mean you have to lose that transferring to a 4-year school. You can keep those relationships going even with instructors, staff, support system, because that is important because you just never know who you may need later on. You may need a letter of recommendation for your job or to go to grad school. And so it is good to keep those relationships intact and then accept growth and change because that's what college is about. It's not just about taking classes to get into your career. It's a growth process and you're changing personally, um, as well as physically because of course you're getting older. But part of the college experience is to discover yourself, um, and be open to growing and discovering who you're becoming. And then there's new opportunities. Transferring to a 4-year school, of course, there's more opportunities if you're like, say, you're wanting to go to um, University of Maryland. That's a pretty big campus, large school, large student population. So there's all kinds of opportunities there. You have different organizations, activities to be involved in. And it may seem overwhelming, but the thing is, in any situation, you just kind of have to find your place. Um, and then, as I've heard this saying, this isn't my saying, but it's one of my spin instructors used to always say this, but you get in where you fit in. Um, and that's in any situation. And especially coming from the community college to a larger 4-year university, you get in where you fit in. Even at a smaller HBCU or 4-year school, again, you find your crowd, your people, and it's that from there you establish new relationships. When I was in college, to this day, my best friends are the friends I made in band. I was in a band, and we're best friends to this day. Um, and those are the relationships I established. Um, Actually, my ex, that's how we met. We were in the band together. So that was just one aspect of my college life where I established some really good friends. And like I said, those were long lasting friends. Um, and then you create new memories and new relationships with those people. And then to get involved. So, like I said, it can be overwhelming. But once you get involved, you get in where you fit in, that makes that expansive experience smaller because now you have your own network, um, of people and your own circle that you can get involved with. Some people may want to pledge a fraternity sorority. Same thing. Now you establish another, um, bond relationship with your sorority and fraternity brothers and sisters, and that's a lifetime bond. So just be open to these new experiences and creating new memories as well as relationships. So you all did a great job on your responses. Any questions or anything? Anyone want to add anything or have any other suggestions? Okay, so we'll move on. So we did this. I put this in the announcements that was last week, to know who your advisor, what pathway your program is under, and then do for the assessment. For that, I just want you to do the 6-question assessment. But I did get a few responses. Some people, um, pretty much their outcome was what they expected. So that's part of knowing who you are, which is great. For your assignment, though, you're going to do that 60-question career assessment. But again, um, this is something that I want you to do for your assignments to get ready for, um, your career research assessment. All right. And some of you all did include some of this information in your action plan. If you haven't done your action plan, you can also include this in your action plan as well, because the more detailed your action plan, the better. But I saw some really great, responses to those who already responded on their action plan. So I did see some good information, some good details. So you all are thinking it through, and establishing your plan. So that's what this is all about. Any questions? Okay. And again, just asking, did your career choice align with your beliefs, your values, what was required, and what's your plan? So that's part of this action plan assignment as well. Knowing your values. So if you're going into a program, does it fit in line with your values? For example, for me, I kind of went a different route. Um, my undergraduate degree was in marketing, but I actually, when I got out of school, I went into finances, and more specifically, I went into the mortgage industry, and where I became a mortgage underwriter. So basically, I would approve mortgage loans for people trying to buy homes or trying to refinance a home. Um, and the money was great. I'm not even gonna lie, the money was really good. But after a while, and if those of you all who are older that remember, when subprime mortgage market boomed, I was in the subprime mortgage industry, so I got laid off. But honestly, I saw it coming because we were making loans to people with like D credit. Initially, it was like AB credit, and then they loosened up the requirements and guidelines. Then we start loaning to C credit, and then next you know, they tap that market. Now they're loaning to the D credit people, which is fine, but those people, a lot of the people didn't realize what they were getting into, and then they were getting into these ARM rates, which are adjustable rate mortgages, meaning that the rate will change as the market change, so it could change like month to month, which would affect the mortgage payment, which of course that affects their budget. So like say you're thinking your mortgage payment is 1,500, and then within 6 months the market change and your rate changes, that 1,500 can turn into 2,500. So now it it doesn't fit your budget, and you're having a hard time paying, and it affects everything else, and you could lose your home, which is what happened, and the market crash. And so a lot of companies went out of business, a lot of people lost homes. And so I knew that was going to happen because we were being basically forced to approve loans that should not have been made. Um, and so when I got laid off, I was like, that's it. I'm not going back in that industry. I mean, because I could have went to a different bank. Um, but I just made the decision I'm not going back in the industry because I just didn't like the practices. It was a lot of deception going on. Um, and so I I never turned back. And so I completely shifted gears and went into higher education. Um, so it didn't align with my values. So you have to think about that. When you're going into something, the money may be great, but does it align with your values? Does it allow you to learn about yourself? Because that is a process. Um, are you able to identify your skills and what you learn in school? Are you able to apply that and learn new skills? And then research career opportunities. Where does that lead you? What is the pathway for that career? Even once you get a job, what is the pathway for that job? Are you in a position where there's no trajectory where you can move up? So those are just things you want to think about when you're planning for your career, as well as when you're interviewing for jobs, um, and even if you're already on a job. Get to learn about the organization and what's all involved there, and what are opportunities that are available to you. And then linking your major to your career. So, because you don't want to be in one major, but you want to go into another career. You don't want to be in art, but yet you would like to be um, a teacher. Now, you could be an art teacher, but those are two different tracks. So, any type of teacher, you have to go into education. So, those are just things to think about. Any questions? All right, so this is now we're just talking more about understanding financial literacy and financial planning. So, developing personal goals, um, and you can start that now. So, you're in school now to create the life that you want. So, what does that look like? Um, And especially now, it's a lot going on if you're not already working, um, or if you don't have a family. Those are things to think about. Are you, are you a go-getter and you just want to focus on your job and, climb that corporate ladder or whatever the organizational ladder, and worry about family later? Or are you looking to um, also have a family and to work? Or do you currently have a family, but you still want to get into the career of your choice? And so, if so, what does that look like? Will that career and that job allow you to balance, have a work-life balance? And if not, how do you create that for yourself? Because everyone should have a work-life balance. It's one thing, you can be a go-getter and, really focus on your career, but you have to balance that out, because you have to have something that's a downtime. Because if not, you can stress yourself out, and that can manifest itself in your body physically. And then you want to identify and evaluate alternatives for achieving your goal. And so, like, do you have a plan B? If plan A doesn't work out, what about plan B? Um, just different routes. Like in my situation, I went into mortgages, um, but then with the turn of the economy, the market, I had to create a plan B. And so I went into higher education. So I'm always that plan B person because of that, being laid off. So now I'm always like, okay, if this doesn't work out, then I have something else lined up. And so that's just kind of my thing. Just, I don't know if that's paranoia, but I just always have a plan B. So I always suggest people, my son, you all have a plan B. Um, what do your savings, your income, and your expenses look like? What creative ways are available to get the life you want? So know what that earning potential is for your career. If you're not in your career yet, you're not working, see what that earning potential is for that career, and then see what it takes to get to where you want to get to. Um, does it require maybe doing some pro, entrepreneurial things on the side to get some more additional hands-on experience, depending on what you want to do? Say you want to go into business, but eventually you want to open your own business. So you have to start out with working for an organization to get that experience, but then maybe start doing some things on the side, have your own side hustle, and then eventually build that to where you can operate your own business. So those are things you want to think about. I get a lot of students that want to go into entrepreneurship because they want their own business, but at the same time, you still have to know how to operate a business. I use one of my high school classmates for an example. She actually started doing my hair in the sixth grade. She was just good. She knew how to do hair. Her mom did hair. Her mom owned a shop. So she started doing my hair in the sixth grade. She did my hair all through high school. When I would come back from college, she would do my hair. And then her mom ended up her mom retired and gave her the shop. But because she didn't know how to operate a business, she actually ended up losing it. Um, and so then she just started, she just worked for other people. But it's one thing to be good at what you do and want to go in business for yourself doing that, but you also need to know how to operate that. So maybe taking some cut business courses on the side so you know how to, maintain books, so you understand how to deal with people and, manage people. So those are just different things to think about. And then what does that plan look like financially? What steps can you take to start working on that goals? Do you need to save? If you're going on to grad school, how are you going to pay for that? If you're going to get your doctorate, how are you going to pay for that? Are you going to get scholarships? Are you going to get grants? Those are all the things you want to start researching. And I know it's a lot, but you have to plan it out in advance so that you can um, establish the path that you want, implementing the plan. So begin taking those steps, even if it's just a small thing, few small things a week. Identifying, okay, I want to go to grad school. Where do I want to go? Where do I want to go, and how much does it cost? Right? That may be your assignment for this week. And then next couple of weeks, look at, well, what kind of financial aid or scholarships are available? Do they offer my major? And if so, can I get grants or scholarships for that major? And you may work on that, next month. So those are just things you could think about and start planning yourself. And then monitor and adjust the plan. Life happens, um, things happen. So we just have to keep taking small steps to get there and make adjustments when needed. Maybe your A school, um, end up going to your A school. So what's your B school? What's your C school? So you should, again, that's that plan A, plan B, even plan C if you need to. So those are things to think about um, when you're doing your planning. And then again, financially, because like how are you going to pay for school? What is your cost of living is going to be like? So if you're going into the dorm, what income will you have? Are your parents going to support you? If so, then what they may pay for tuition, but will you have money to do the extra stuff like go to parties, have a social life, get something to eat? How are you going to pay for that? So you want to think about that because I'll be honest, when I was in college, it was just all about survival. I mean, I stayed on for the first 2 years. I was on campus, so I had a meal plan to eat in the dorm and on campus cafeteria. But once I moved off campus, then I had to buy my own food. I had a job that lasted for like a quick minute. I had a job at Burger King, and that didn't last long because they had me opening. I didn't have a car. I was in Alabama in the country, and so I think I had to be to work like at 6 in the morning or something like that. So I had to walk to the Burger King in the dark by myself. And we had some characters around town. Um, and I remember walking to work and I passed this guy who was talking. He had like a whole conversation, like by himself. He was actually cussing somebody out, but there was nobody else there. And I was like, no, I can't do this. I'm not. Manager wouldn't change my shift, so I quit. I told my dad, nope, I tried. Uh-uh. So he would send me money every so often, and I had to be able to manage the money, so that it would last. Luckily, like I said, I was in Alabama, so cost of living was cheap back then. Um, when it came to doing social things like parties, we would go to parties for like $2, $5, $10, and because they were house parties. But I know now, people go to the clubs and stuff, and I don't know. I don't know how much clubs cost now. I guess because that's I don't do that anymore. But I know it's probably maybe $20, I guess, and then getting something to eat and something to drink. So those are just all the things you want to take factor in when it comes to managing, having a financial plan. How are you going to support the lifestyle that you want? So I want you to answer these questions in the chat. Um, on a scale of one to four, least likely, and four, most likely. Like, how financially literate are you? And answering each question. Are you actively and regularly planning and monitoring your finances currently? Do you understand the benefits and the risk of credit? Um, this is a typo here. Are you aware of the various scholarships available and the requirements? Do you have a plan to prepay your student loans if you're getting financial aid? And I have to change this because they have changed past the deadline date. And do you really regularly take steps to protect your identity and your assets? So 1 through 4, least likely is 1, most likely is 4. Put your answers in the chat. See a couple of things coming up. I see some ones, some twos, ones. I see a 2/3. Why are you doing this? Let me make the change. Typos. 2, 3. All right. So we have some ones, twos, threes. So no fours, couple of twos, threes, mostly ones and twos. So that just means you have some work to do. Um, and start thinking about that because that's important. You don't want to get to a point in life where you're not able to manage your finances or it gets out of hand. I know one thing that stumped me, myself, and several of my friends when we went to college. A lot of credit card companies would give you a credit card, and you didn't have a job. I don't know if they're allowed to do that anymore. So I got the credit card because all I was thinking is, "Ooh, I could buy stuff, and I don't have to pay for it right now." But what I realized is because I didn't have a job, I wasn't able to pay for it like for like some years. So I had maxed out the credit card while in college, and that credit card stayed maxed until after I graduated and started working. And then so now I'm working with a regular paycheck, but I have this debt because I maxed it out in college. So now I have to pay down this credit card. So that's a big one. It's okay to have credit cards, but be aware of how much you're spending and well, you're charging on that credit card because it'll stay with you. And if you're making a minimum monthly payment, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, go ahead, Abdurrahman. You have a question?
I just want to say, yeah, they still do that today with like credit
Oh, the
cards
credit.
to
Oh,
like
they do.
students. Yeah,
Oh,
I
wow.
don't take credit. I don't take
Hmm.
credit cards
Yeah.
because I mean, because firstly, it's because of religious reasons, but
Hmm.
secondly, I'm not good with money. Just put
Hmm.
that out there. So
Right.
I don't put myself in debt. uh, You
I
know,
right.
yeah. So,
I get it. It's just we have to we have to have money to survive. And sometimes we have to have credit, especially as you get older, if you're working, if you have a house, certain things happen. We have to, you may have medical procedures, things happen, and where you need to have some credit. Um, but again, it's about managing that and really being aware because nothing is free. Money isn't free. Having a plan to pay it off. So, like you said, if you said you're not good with money, so that's something good to know. It just means that you have to be very aware of what's going on with it and how you manage your funds. Um, I guess I wouldn't say I'm not good with money, but I can be a little reckless. So I stopped like years ago. Now it's a thing, but before we really was dealing with the debit cards and everything. I stopped carrying cash years ago because I would spend it on stupid stuff. Go to the store and food, chips, snacks, and stuff like that. Next thing you know, I spent $30 on just some nonsense. So I stopped carrying cash because of that reason. Um, so again, that's part of being honest with yourself, um, and then establishing good habits to deal with it. All right. But yeah, I didn't realize. Let me do this real quick. I don't know why it's not letting me save. I'm looking at these typos. I did not realize they still gave credit cards to college students. I thought Congress was putting something in place to stop that, but I guess not. So again, that's something that you definitely want to be aware of. Right? And then 7 financial tips for students. Again, make a budget and try and stick to that budget. I think I mentioned before I have my little journal when we were talking about just organizations. So I have a ton of papers in here now. But I have a budget even to this day where I just kind of put everything in here. And it's just, I know I have a filter, so you probably can't see it, but I have stuff in here as far as my budget, even on my calendar, just so I know what I'm spending and I know what I have coming up. Um, remember, I dropped all this stuff on the floor. Remember I mentioned that I'm a read write person. So I do like my list. So I write everything out. But even if you do a spreadsheet or some kind of way, do it on your phone. But just be aware of what you're spending. start saving early. Again, I'll use my son as an example, because he's doing something that I did not do um, when I graduated, and it's embarrassing, but you know, I didn't. Like I said, I was first generation college, so I didn't know. But he just started his job. He graduated college December, um, and so he started his job March because he works for the military. So he had to go through the whole process of security clearance and all of that, which took forever. So he started his job. So actually, he's finishing up week 3 on his job, and he said um, he's living with his grandmother because she lives in the same town, and he's going to stay with her until he gets his emergency savings built up, and then he'll start looking to move out on his own. And I thought that, I told him that's a great idea. So if you are living at home, start saving now before you get any debt. And then have that emergency plan saved up, have, your rainy day account saved. So you may want more than one savings account. And then you may even want to separate those accounts. Maybe put it with a different bank so that you're not going into it and constantly spending it. Avoid credit card debt, which we just discussed, because interest rates are higher than they have been because of inflation. I think they're going to start dropping the rates down, but still, you're paying on a credit card. If you just pay the minimum monthly payment, that balance isn't going to go anywhere. And if that's all you can afford to pay, you're going to be paying on that forever. Um, Trust me, I've been there. And then take advantage of student discounts. So as a student, you get all kinds of discounts. I know even with me working at the college, I get some of the same discounts, but like when I don't do it here, but my last job, I went to the movie on Tuesdays because students and faculty got a discount. It was $5 to go to the movie. So when I went to the movies, I would go right after work on Tuesdays. And so a lot of places offer student discounts. Just ask, you know, it doesn't hurt. And for those of you all who are like 50 and up, actually even 45 and up, get that AARP card because they start sending it, they'll give it to you like around 45. I was kind of offended when they first mailed it to me, so I threw it away. Then by the time I turned 50, I was like, dang, that's 5 years I wasted. I could have been getting an AARP discount. So I take advantage of those discounts. And then start investing, but be wise about it. If you need help, get some help, but know what you're doing because you can lose a lot of money investing if you like kind of doing the day trading thing. Educate yourself on stocks or get you a financial advisor to help with that. And then utilize online resources because like I said, there's resources for everything. Sometimes some things you may not have to pay for if you do a little research yourself. I know a couple of months back, I needed to get an air filter for my car, and it was some other filter. I'm not a car person, but I had to get two types of filters. And I went to the car place, and they were out. They had one filter, and then the other one I needed, they were out. But they were going to charge me $60 just to put the filter in and pay what to get the filter and put it in. So the lady said, "Well, there's the AutoZone, literally right next door. You kind of do this yourself." So I went to AutoZone. I asked them if they would do it for me. They said they wouldn't. So I went on YouTube and figured out how to put it in myself. And I saved like almost $100 because one filter was like $60 and I needed two different filters. And it was so easy. And I was proud of myself because I was like, oh, I learned something new today. So now I know how to change my own air filter. And then the other filter, one was underneath the hood and it was simple. And then one was in my glove compartment. So I had to go on YouTube to figure out how to take like the stuff out of my glove compartment and kind of take that out. And it was simple. It just, it's like I just had to wiggle a little bit and pull it out. But that's $100 saved right there. So the University of YouTube can be your best friend. Any questions? Okay. And so this is just a spreadsheet, like a first aid kit for financial emergencies. So this is something you just kind of want to think about. This is also in your book. So you can, if if you want a large copy, you can kind of screen print it and print it out so that you'll have. So, because you want to have like a black backup plan in case of emergency. So make a list of unexpected emergencies, and then what would you do if in case something happened? Who's your backup person? Um, if say you're getting financial aid, but I know like even right now, financial aid is kind of all messed up right now because they changed the system, they changed how people apply, they pushed the date back that you can apply for financial aid. That's why on this previous screen I had October 1st because it was always October 1st. But now they moved it to December, but then I think it was still late. It wasn't ready in December. So a lot of people are having issues with financial aid and they're not sure if, like, even for fall semester, if people's financial aid will get to the school in time. So if you have not applied for financial aid for this coming fall to spring and summer of next year, do it ASAP because they're already backed up. Um, and so the sooner you apply, you can at least get it in the works. And once they figure out everything and what's going on, at least you know you will have it done. So again, if you're applying for financial aid and you need it for fall 24 through spring 25, summer 25, and you haven't applied yet, go on to FAFSA.org. Yeah, FAFSA.org and apply ASAP because it's already backed up and you need to already have yours in place. Um, but just, make a list and be aware of unexpected things, unexpected expenses, and then determine if it's an emergency, if it could wait. Um, what's your backup plan? Do you have emergency contact? Did you update your information on the system here? Because I have to call students all the time, and I think it was like Monday. I called a student, and there was like three different phone numbers listed, and all of them were the wrong phone number. They didn't update any of their phone numbers. And so I sent the message, and then the student ended up calling me. I was like, you have to update your information because, like, when we do have an emergency here on campus, if classes get canceled, or they need to clear the building, which has happened just even within this last year, you need to make sure you're getting that information. Um, Especially like if you have it, say you have a class at 2 o'clock, but you don't have anything that morning, and something is happening on campus, and they had already sent out an alert saying campus is closed, do not, no one's allowed, and now you had commuted, got in the car, left home, you drove up here and realized there's no class because you didn't get the alerts because you didn't update your emergency information. So make sure you're doing that, and that's whether it's at school or anything. Just keep your emergency contact information updated. Any questions? And then like we said, do the steps to create a financial plan, um, and then be aware of how you use financial planning in your everyday life. How are you spending money? I know one area I had to really catch myself at work is the vending machine because I wouldn't pack enough snacks, and so I would go to the vending machine and get a granola bar or some chips, and I was doing that like almost every single day. That vending machine is $2.10 every day, so that's almost $10 a week, which I that could have went to something else. I could have just saved that for the weekend and put that towards the pizza or something. Or if I go to the bookstore, sometimes I would get nuts there. That bag of nuts is $7. And if I get anything else, next I'm spending $15 in the bookstore just on some snacks. So we just have to be aware of, you know, where we're spending our money. If you don't, now we have everything online. I know when I first started, um, they taught us how to like balance our checkbooks in high school. And we don't really do that anymore because a lot of people don't write checks. I know I don't. And because everything is done electronically, I don't balance my account. So I just look and see what has gone through and what hasn't and how much I have left. But now I'm just aware of really what I'm spending. So, like I said, just, I make my list and I do when I go to the store and I buy things, I write it down so I can physically see what I'm spending my money on. So those are just things that you can do. Like the saying here, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So we always just want to have a plan. That when we want to plan for our educational goals, we want a financial plan. And then this is just our Financial Empowerment Center, which is here on campus. You could go to pgcc.edu on the website, type in Financial Empowerment Center, and then they will have information. And you can go to to their site. They do a lot of things for the community, so it's not just for students. It's just open to the community. They help with like taxes, all kinds of stuff. So as students, you definitely can have access to it. But even say your parents may need something, you can let your parents know. We have this center on campus, and it's open to the community. So that's just something for you to be aware of. Any questions? All right, so just our reflective and our review activity. Again, we were looking at um, like your assessment. Is it what you thought? Is college what you thought? Is at this point, is it easier? Is it harder? Did you think it was something completely different? What does anyone want to share? If this is your first time in college, is it how does it align with what you thought it would be when you were in high school? Do you feel you're getting what you need to be successful? And is there maybe something else that you find that may be beneficial to you that we don't offer, or maybe you want to see if it's even provided for students? Does anyone want to share? No? So everything is in line. Everyone, this is what you expect it to be. It's a lot of work. There's this young lady at um I don't follow her, but I've seen a couple of her videos on Instagram, and she's at she's in college. She's a freshman in college. I think she's at Prairie View State, which is in Texas. I think she's at a HBCU, and she does these videos that's so funny. She's just like, I don't know what they were thinking. No one told me it was going to be like this because this is crazy. That's kind of how she talked. But so she's just talking about different things that she's experiencing in college that she didn't know. She was like, oh, these assignments, but I got activity. I want to go to this party. I want to go to this, but I gotta do all these assignments. I got tests, but no one told me it was going to be all this work. And just the way she does it is funny. But and I'm a person who likes to read the comments on social media. And so that's a lot. When I'm reading the comments, a lot of people are saying, yep, that's college for you. It's a lot more work. It's on you. No one's going to hold your hand. They're not going to, make sure you do it. It's different than college. You're responsible for yourself. So it's a lot of independence and self motivation, self initiation to get things done. So just think about that. All right. And then, so this week, last couple of weeks, we talked about prioritizing and planning, learning styles, SMART goals and steps, and then the site, the links for completing the career research project. These are things you want to look over because you will see these again, and I'm going to repeat that. You will see those things again. So look over the notes, go through the textbook, and just familiarize yourself with it and definitions, so that you understand it fully. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And so the assignments coming up this week, you just have one discussion question that's due Sunday, and then you have your action plan assignment. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the class, a lot of people not a lot, several people have submitted their action plan, and so far what I've read, you all are doing a great job in detail and really laying out each step and what your plan is for each step and how you're going to reach your goals using those SMART goals. So that's great, utilizing your resources. So you're doing a great job. So keep it up. And then your upcoming assignments are the brochure, the PAS brochure assignment, where you're going to create a brochure and talk to your audience about what you learned in this class and how this class is beneficial. So go to that assignment, start reading up on it because it's a brochure you're going to have to create. Um, so it's not something you're going to handwrite. It's not something just like a Word document. So you can use Canva, um, which is a website that kind of where you can create flyers and stuff, but there is a template in there for a brochure. And some people get really creative. I've seen brochures, I've seen videos, and I'll show you all next week some of the assignments that I've seen where people have gotten really creative and done an excellent job. And then you have your career research at the end of the semester as well as your final exam. So just remember your final exam is due on the 5th, but it will open up at the end of this month. So we're getting close to finishing up. So that what we have like 3 weeks, 3 more weeks, I guess. So make sure all again, and for those of you all came in late, I mentioned complete all. I strongly urge you to complete all assignments. I'd rather you submit them late than not at all, so that you don't have to risk taking this class again. Trying to help you so you can be successful. So this is a class where you need to learn all of these habits. So I am allowing late assignments. You will not get full points, but half points is better than none. And then you won't have to take the class over. So go back through and look at your assignments. Wherever there's a 0, you need to do it, and you're going to have to email it to me directly. Go under instructor, under modules, and it has my email address because you're not going to be able to submit it through Canvas, but send it to me via email. All right. Does anyone have any questions? All right. With no questions, you all have a great weekend. And for those in business, education, and public safety or criminal justice, remember your early advising week is next week. We have several activities for that. So I strongly suggest you attend. I know for education students, if you're education, you would have already gotten an email from me today with the flyer listing everything as well as the QR code to register. All right. You all have a great weekend.